Welcome back to the Bird's Eye View. I'm here with Mr. Crow,
Hello, everybody.
and I'm the War Duck. And we kind of, because we're parents, we see these headlines, and it like really jumps out. And so I know with all the coof or the whatever's going around, it seems to be headlining a lot. So, but I found this one, and I kind of was very disturbing to me. So, and don't mind Crow's camera is wigging out today.
Yeah, it's kind of weird. I don't know what's going on. Just don't pay attention to me.
All right. So California is introducing a bill that would let children 12 and up
Yep.
get the COOF vaccination without parents' approval.
Correct.
Now, I'm for empowering kids as a parent,
Yeah.
but I'm not for empowering kids as a law or by the government because if they're not allowed to vote or be an adult until they're 18, that means it's my responsibility. If they don't show up for
Correct.
school, it's my responsibility. In some states, you can get fined or arrested if your kid isn't going to school.
Yep.
I don't think California is that way, but part of the thing is if you unless you're going to take responsibility for whatever happens to this kid, this is BS.
Yeah, I feel it was as I was reading through the doc or through the whole article about things, I see why they're trying to do it and what it's doing, and it's trying to empower the kids for in case, because if they've contacted some kind of disease, sexually transmitted, for example, and it needs to be reported to the state, but they don't want to report it to the parents, that they're kind of trying to follow that. But I agree with you, Duck.
No,
If
but
they're not going to take the responsibility on if there is something that happens and goes wrong, which is it happens, but if they're not willing to take that responsibility, they shouldn't be.
but that brings up another thing, right? Is like, okay, your 14-year-old kid goes and gets tested by the state without your knowledge and has a STD, but they don't tell you.
No.
And then 6 months later, that kid's pregnant or got somebody pregnant.
Yep.
But nobody told you anything.
Correct.
So, but now all of a sudden you're like, well, you knew, state, you knew 6 months ago that they were sexually active, but you didn't tell the parent. All right, hold on.
Is it on your side?
All right, no, I don't know. Like, I can't
Okay.
tell. I can't tell what's wrong with Crow's. Like, it works half the time and then it doesn't work half the time. We can kind of refresh him, but
We can kind of. Okay.
all right. Anyway, like, if you don't know what's going on with your kid and the state ain't telling you, who's responsible? It's like this whole thing with the rampages that go on where they take an item to school and hurt people, right? It's like, okay, if you have warning signs like the last kind of one that happened where the mom had texts and stuff, right? And she says, don't do it, but didn't warn anybody, she's responsible. Okay, well, if this kid goes to the state for help now because he doesn't have to tell his parents and he goes to counseling and says some things in counseling, then goes home and does it anyway, is the state now responsible? Like, how are you interfering with the parent's right to parent their child?
Yep.
That's like the whole thing to me, because nobody knows what's going to happen 15, 20 years down the road with these vaccinations. They haven't been tested that long, right? There's no long-term data on these tests or on these shots.
On the shots, yeah.
All right, so 20 years down the road, this kid tries to have kids on his own and can't. Or now all of a sudden they find out there's some kind of birth defect or something. or right, or because everything gives you cancer, like it gives you cancer, like everything else, right? Because
Yeah, exactly.
one minute wine makes you live longer, the next minute wine gives you cancer, and then it doesn't anymore. And now it does, and I mean they go every other year. It's good for you, and then it's not.
Yeah.
So that means the state's going to take responsibility for anybody that went without their parents' knowledge for anything that happens to them? Because I don't see that happening.
No, no. There's no way. 'Cause they don't even take the risk upon us as being adults.
Now,
so no.
Now, because it's been proven, it's a fact that sometimes, in very rare instances, people have adverse reactions to one of the shots.
Correct. Yes.
So if you don't have to tell your parents, you're 12 years old, you go down, you have an adverse reaction, your parents don't even know where the hell you are, all of a sudden you end up in the hospital.
And you're responsible for that bill as the parent.
Right? Now you're responsible. And are they going to be like, hey, why did you let your kid go do this? Well, it's the law that says they can go do this. Well, you're their parent, right? Where all of a sudden, it's like,
where's the parent in this?
Are you ever responsible, or you kid, or only in certain circumstances? Because that's kind of where you're going with this, right? Is like under certain circumstances, you're responsible for your kid's actions.
Correct. Yeah.
But maybe not now because the state's saying, eh. I mean, I don't. If you want to give every single kid from 12 and up the right to do whatever it is they want, and they're responsible for it, then okay, that takes the onus off the parents. If this kid's 12, doesn't go to school, hey, I ain't responsible for it. But that ain't reality.
No, it's not the reality part.
The reality is you're responsible for that kid long after they're 18.
Yeah, that's true. Even long after they're 18.
Yeah, I mean, once you're a parent, and it really never ends, the responsibility for the kid.
No.
Right. And so your kid's 32, gets in a horrible accident and you know is needs care. Well, parents are the ones that's going to foot that bill, and they're the ones going to help in most cases. Yeah. In most cases.
They're all the city, you know, if they can't pay and things like that, they eventually go after the parents anyway. So they start looking into it.
To me,
it was interesting reading this article for sure. Because
to me, this is just a super bad idea that skirts parents' rights to know what's happening with their child and to have the right to dictate how that child is cared for. Yes, I know they think everybody that doesn't get the poke is
a threat.
A threat, yeah. And on the outside, you know, of the fringe or whatever. But
yeah,
that doesn't mean that you can take the rights away from parents and let the kids just do whatever.
I almost wonder though if it's kind of a numbers thing, because as I was reading this article, they had one part in it, and he's quoted saying almost 1 million California teenagers are unvaccinated, and for a lot of those, it's because their parents either refuse to get them vaccinated or have not yet. And I almost sometimes think is this a numbers thing? Are they just trying to say like, oh, look, if we can lower this and get the kids just to do it, and they're an easier target to get vaccinated, we can save
it's the same
millions.
Thing as the mandate, right? They like the courts, for the most part, have struck every single one of them down, saying this is illegal.
Yeah.
The latest one was the federal workers got struck down.
Yep.
And so, but the point is for the current administration is, look how many people we got to poke. They don't care it's illegal. They're just doing whatever, right? So now all of a sudden you have California going, hey, there's 1 million kids that aren't vaccinated.
Yeah.
So let's pass a law and let the kids make the decisions, because kids make great decisions at 12 years old, don't they?
I never at that age, like I've always told people, they need to hire my kids because They knew everything. They know everything,
So
especially at that age.
well, hell, I mean, we might as well just let them vote at age 12, right? Because, I mean, if they're smart enough to make their own decisions,
Heck yeah.
then hell, they should be able to smoke and drink and drive and purchase a firearm and serve in the military at age 12, apparently, according to California, because they could just make their own decisions. Be damned the consequences.
Yeah.
Uh-oh, we lost Crow.
Uh-oh, I'm really snowy now. I think that's right. You know, it's just I think they're just going for numbers and crossing the line. Like it's just too far here.
And like I like as a parent, whether I got vaccinated or not, whether my wife got vaccinated or not, I am not making that decision to let my child get vaccinated because I don't know the long-term ramifications. When they're 17, 18 years old, if they want to get it, okay, you're old enough. Yeah. You're old enough to make informed decisions. We'll sit down and talk about it. And then if you decide you want to do that at age 17 or 18, where you're basically an adult anyway now, making your own decisions, voting, serving in the military, doing that kind of thing, then I don't have a problem with it. But at age 5, 6, 7, 10, 12, 15, 16, your brain simply is not developed enough. That's a proven scientific fact. Your brain is not developed enough to make correct decisions.
I just don't even think you have enough experience, to make the decision. Like,
well, that's a second part of this equation, right? Is not only is your brain not fully developed enough, not fully developed, period.
Yeah, true.
Then you have zero life experience base your decisions on.
Yeah, like what?
That equals a poor conclusion to your decision making process.
Yes.
That's why parents have kids and parents are responsible for kids, because they are dumb and they cannot make decisions. That's the simple fact.
I don't feel like they can. Not that I'm against it or for it or whatever. It's just I feel like that's pushing the age limit a little too much.
And that's the whole thing there. is if you want to do something to your own body, you should have that right to do whatever it is you want to do with your own body. And that is your right. As
look at it this way. How old do you have to be to get a tattoo without parents'
18
permission? And that's a lifelong thing too. And I don't know. I feel like it's crossing the line. It just doesn't feel right.
Yeah.
That's the only way I can say it. It's pushing the wrong agenda somewhere.
And really, it's that's the whole thing. It's pushing a political agenda onto kids age 12. Because, like I said, you have no idea of the long-term ramifications. The 20-year studies, the 40-year studies, the 60-year studies. You don't know. You have no effing clue. And now you're like, well, fuck, they're 12. Just, deal with it. Because that's like this, it's a 1 in a billion thing that I'm about to throw out there, conspiracy theory, whatever the hell you want to call it. But let's just say, for the sake of argument, that one of these coof shots causes birth defects or infertility.
Mm-hmm.
And now you're letting a 12-year-old get it because you want to push a political agenda.
Yeah.
And then 8, 10, 15, 20 years from then, they decide they want to have a family, and all of a sudden either they can't, or now they have to deal with a birth defect because of something they weren't fully capable of making a decision on. Or, like I said, what happens if it causes cancer later on? or what happens, I mean,
There's
the problem
there's still so
is
many.
it could just be likely that nothing ever happens. But the
Yeah.
problem is you don't know.
It's still, yeah, it's still fairly new. We don't know. We're unsure
The
still.
first time it's ever been used in human beings.
Yeah.
And that's like the thing is like, okay, like I said, if you want to do it, more power to you. That's awesome. If you don't want to do it, more power to you. That's awesome. It's the right of your body. As a parent, you have to weigh that option on your own and then decide for that child. And I think that's where a lot of parents are in that boat of, you know what? Whether I do this for myself or not, I don't want to put that burden onto this child for a disease with a 98% survival rate, when I think it might even be higher for that for young kids, that there's really no need, in my opinion, as a kid, there's no need for this. Now, I could be wrong. I am not a doctor, but what I've read in the research that I understand is kids are more resilient, and it's the old people that are the most susceptible to this thing. And kids
that's how
rarely have severe cases of this. And now that we have stuff like the pill that can help treat severe cases while you're in the hospital, to me, this is less of a reason to force your kid to get something that could have ramifications later on in their life.
And that's the thing too, is as a parent, I feel like, there's a big unknown with it. And so are you willing to take the chance for yourself? Whatever it may be, but are you willing to take that chance on your child? And then that sometimes you make the best decision that you can for your child and in behalf of them. But yet as a parent, are you taking the risk of possibly, and I say risk lightly, but like, are you just thinking, wait, I can control the environment that they're in and who they may be exposed to, and maybe taking that upon yourself? So maybe you don't see a reason for the vaccination, but yet it feels like this law is just taking that away, that ability from the parent. And that's why I feel like this is it's just wrong. I think the way that they're going about it, it shouldn't be. It should change so many more things if this goes into place. Yeah. And if it does, it's supposed to go into place January 1st of 2023.
I pretty much despise, as a parent, any law that is taking the right to parent your child how you see fit.
How you see fit. Yeah, that's a great way of putting it.
Not hurting that child currently.
Yeah.
And within the framework of the last 2,000 years of we've been living. That's where it really bothers me, is I like I said, unless you're deciding that kids at 12 are smart enough to do all these other things that adults are supposed to be able to do because now they can make decisions, this isn't right.
Yeah, that's what it comes down to for me. Is I just feel like they're just trying to grab numbers at the moment for this and trying to push, as we may be saying, figuring out maybe later is a agenda of some sort, but they are not. With this law doesn't come a lot of other open abilities.
Because that would be my question to anybody that's on the side of this law is, so you're saying kids are smart enough to make decisions on their own, so they can now drive, they can go purchase alcohol, they can go purchase cigarettes, and they can join the military, and they can get married and do all those things without parents' consent now because they're smart enough and developed enough to make their own decisions.
Yeah.
And when you hear that no, then it's like, okay, well, because, hey, if you're 12 and you can make your own medical decisions, then I guess we just don't worry about if you're 12 and you're dating a 30-year-old now, right? Because you can make your own
you can make your own
medical decisions, right? Because in a relationship, a intimate relationship has a lot to do with your medical status,
your medical, yep,
and your brain development.
Your brain,
and that
your
to me,
decision.
that is just sick. That is just not acceptable to even think that a 12-year-old can make proper decisions or go to an adult that's not their parent and let that person make decisions for them, because that's not acceptable. That's just not.
Yeah. And they don't. Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. I'm kind of, yeah. That's my stance too, is on this. I feel like it's got a hidden agenda behind it, and it just doesn't feel right because it hasn't been thought through fully.
This kind of shit gets me heated, man.
Yeah, it is. It's just something that, I don't know, gets, as a parent, you're losing some rights there, and not that you like. I don't know.
It just
it's
burns
hard
me
to
up as a
explain.
parent, dude. It just freaks me out.
It's so hard to explain, and maybe you don't understand. I don't know, but leave your comments below.
Yeah. Leave your comments.
Let us know what you think.
Do you think at 12-year-old you're able, that you should be able to make your own medical decisions or your own life decisions that you're developed enough? I want to hear that comment. I want to understand how you came to that conclusion, because I just don't. At 12 years old, I don't see kids making good decisions anywhere, and that it's a scientifically proven fact that your brain is not developed at that age.
Yeah.
There's a reason you can't vote till you're 18. There's a reason you can't buy a handgun till you're 21. There's a reason that you can't buy smokes and stuff until you're 18. And there's there's reasons for those ages, because at that point they think, okay, well, you're an adult and you're now capable of making your own decisions and living on your own. Before that, you can't. And now apparently California says at 12 you're good to go.
Yeah.
So
that's what it seems like. So
leave your comments below.
Yeah. Let us know what you think.
Yeah. And we might have drugged this on, but this kind of thing gets me really heated and really amped about it. So we just it's still blowing my mind. I got so much stuff I want to rant about it, but we're gonna cut it off right there. Thanks everybody for watching. Appreciate it. Leave a comment. Thanks. Much love all. But we'll are out of here for now.
See you later, everyone. Bye.